Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the 7 Hertz Eternal. Excuse me, sorry. This is the latest from 7 Hertz, and kind of basically continuation, let me put it this way, of the philosophy that was started out with Timeless, in the sense that they have very much a very similar kind of look and everything. Um, and well, we already know what the Timeless brought us. We know that the Timeless was very much a game changer, in the sense that for a really good competitive price of around $200, they were able to offer us a, a dynamic, a planar dynamic driver uh, with excellent tuning, and capable of playing basically all music genres without needing any external digital processing or anything of the sort. So it was a well designed, well thought out, well executed. Well, there were some issues, going around with some units having some quality control problems and coming apart and so on and so forth. But overall, I think the 7 Hertz, the Timeless, has been a success story. Um, and the Eternal kind of takes on that form factor of the Timeless, that unusual shape of the shell, and instead of having a planar dynamic, it uses a dynamic driver, an LCP, liquid crystal polymer, of slightly larger diameter. I mean, that is a 14.2 mil, that's a 14.5. So it's the biggest difference here, obviously, is one is a dynamic driver and one is a planar dynamic. Anyway, this is the box of the Eternal, very much similar to what the Timeless brought us. Very heavy box, and I'll show you why. The reason is this case. This case is, honestly, irrespective of the fact that it might not be the most useful case to use, it is a work of machinery. It's a really nice case. This copper color, I don't know what it is. Um, if anything, the inside material could be of a little bit better quality, but it's I mean, this thing is bomb proof. I think if I put the earphones in and I drive with my car over this, there's nothing's going to happen. Honestly, nothing's going to happen, because this thing is really rock solid. Anyway, that's the case for you. It then brings a pretty good selection of tips. I'll show you that in a second. And I'm using the tips that it brings. So there we go, loads of tips. Okay, so no issues with tips and what might or might not work there. Um, and yeah, that's basically it. I mean, in a nutshell, that's the packaging and the accessories that it brings, and no complaints there. In terms of the price tag, the Eternal is being sold anywhere between $220, and I've seen it as high as $279. So it's not a cheap IM, but it is novel in the sense that it is using a very big dynamic driver, very unusual, something that only basically we saw being done by Sony in some of their models. And yeah, that's it basically. In terms of the cable, it's a cable similar to what the cable of the Timeless brought. I'll be honest with you, although I'm sure the quality is the same and everything, it looks the same, feels the same. I just don't like the cable. I think the color, well, the color is to attempt a copper color. I get that, but it just I don't know, somehow it just looks a little bit cheap, for lack of a better word. As for the IEMs, well, like I said before, they have this unusual form factor, which having said that, in my case at least, I have no complaints with regards to fit. It fits perfectly. They sit in my ears perfectly. I mean, really, honestly, you look at it and you think, oh my God, this thing it's not gonna fit. And you couldn't be further from the truth, because the actual part that goes inside of your ear, and around the ear canal, is this part here, and it fits flawlessly in my ears, flawlessly. MMCX connector, again, something that you either like or don't like. Semi-open design, as you can see, so it's got one vent over there, which is the front vent, and then it's got those other 3 vents there, which will make this a kind of a semi-open design. The point of attraction with regards to, or the main attraction, I would say rather, with regards to the shell is the faceplate. The faceplate is really unique. It imitates a driver. I mean, the driver inside is not that size. I wish it was actually. But anyway, it imitates that, and it can be something that you either, again, like or dislike. I mean, I'm sure in your ears this thing will definitely attract a lot of attention. But I don't mind it. I think it's been tastefully done. I honestly think that it's been done with great care, and I welcome this kind of innovation in terms of looks, instead of just being the normal kind of boring thing that we get all the time. So in terms of, like I said, in terms of accessories, in terms of what it brings with regards to fit and noise isolation, so on and so forth, it's fine, it's acceptable. I think the majority of people won't really have any issues, even though the form factor might initially frighten them. On to what we basically want to know is, how does it compare in terms of sound, or how does it sound, and how does it compare with regards to some of the other IEMs currently available. I've made a selection, once again, that I thought would be a selection that would make sense. In 7 Hertz, the timeless had to be there. I mean, fine, it had to be there. For good measure, I also included the S12 from Let's Show as another planar dynamic driver, and this one a 14.8 millimeters, so it's actually the biggest of these giant drivers, let's put it that way. And then I put also an IM which I feel, in terms of its quality of construction and overall feel and look, it's probably one of the nicest IEMs available right now, which is the Whizzer HE03D. Again, a single dynamic driver. This one, I believe, 13.5 millimeters in size. I can confirm that. Don't quote me on that. So it's got a big dynamic driver as well. And lastly, I've put here the Kato, the Moondrop Kato. Why this selection? Well, that one, obviously, like I said, because it's from the same company and uses kind of a same shell and everything. So I wanted to see how these two would they be complements to each other? Would they be upgrades, side grades? What would they be? That, because that's also a reference in terms of planar dynamics and what is capable of, what is able to be obtained with a planar dynamic. The Whizzer, I put it because it's a new release, and because it has a very unusual tuning that in certain instances reminded me as well of the tuning of the or rather the Eternal reminded me of the tuning of the Whizzer in certain instances, and that's the reason why I've included it here. And the Moondrop Kato, because it's an IEM in terms of single dynamics priced at around what all of these IEMs are priced, that I've come to enjoy quite a lot over the last couple of weeks and appreciate what it's capable of doing. I could have also included the HANA 2021, I could have included a few other IEMs, but I tried to maintain things to what I've been using lately, okay? And this is the selection. Okay, on to the sound. Enough rambling. When you hear it the first time, straight away you have you perceive the Eternal to be slightly dark, but it's not dark in a bad way. And you will obviously even perceive this more if you've just had a timeless in your ears, and you know the timeless has this big airy sound, this very open sound, in part due to the fact that it's a planar dynamic, but it's got this huge sound with loads of detailed retrieval, with lots of information up top. And so you hear that, and straight away you put this on, and you get the feeling that this is a dark IEM, this is a dark sounding IEM. And in that aspect, it is somewhat similar to the Whizzer. So I would consider these two as kind of being one group, and those three there of being another group, in the sense that these two are more darkish sounding, with qualities and defects I'll point in a second, and those two being more brightish, more open sounding, more detailed sounding. Let's put it that way. Okay. Bass. The bass has got good extension. Definitely sub bass focused as opposed to mid bass focused, which is the case of the Whizzer. It's got quick enough. It's quick enough. I would have liked it to be a little bit quicker. Sometimes there is certain songs that it can be a little bit sluggish. I will, as I usually do, post my playlist so that you guys can have an idea of what I listen to and so on and so forth. But for example, Drive from Don E, the bass could be just a little bit more speedy. It kind of just somehow lingers, sometimes too much. Okay. And in that aspect, the bass on the Whizzer is quicker, it's more dynamic, it's more impactful. It brings with it, because of the emphasis that it has, its negative aspects. But in that aspect, the bass here will probably be a little bit more fun. So the bass here is like I said, sub bass focused. It's got good texture. It's clean enough. And I would almost dare say that you listen to this, and once you've been listening to quite a lot of IEMs like I've been doing, and listening to different materials being used, LCP, CNT, titanium, beryllium, so on and so forth, you definitely feel that this is an LCP driver because of that. Like I said, slight sluggishness. Please don't take this in the bad way. It's not that it's bad. It's just I'm trying to convey what you hear. Okay. Mids are nicely done. I can't really complain, apart from an over brightness in the 4.5, 5, 6K area, which again with certain songs is noticeable. Fair enough, playing around with the tips will help it. And for example, to that effect, if I use these tips here, if I use these tips, these standard stock tips here, the green ones with the yellow bore, if I use those tips, it kind of does do away with that a little bit extra energy that you have there, which is very noticeable with female voices, but it loses out in terms of size, of that airiness. And that's why I go down to, I return using my trusty 07 tips from KB Ear, because these are actually the same as these are actually the stock tips, which are the same as the KB Ears. I mean, they are KB Ears, and it's the same tip. And because it just gives me that little extra air, which the Eternal is somewhat lacking. Okay, it doesn't have that sense of air, of space, as you will get, for example, on the Timeless or the S12 or the Kato. There is occasionally a little bit of sibilance, but nothing that really is too noticeable or too aggressive. And then you have this roll off in the treble, which it's enough. Let's put it this way: the treble of the Eternal is enough. I guess that the fact that they're using such a big driver will ultimately play a role in how much treble energy you can have without things getting out of control or getting out of the overall balance of what is being trying to be obtained. But it's fine. So I would say that overall everything is pretty much balanced out. The only real sore point or thing that comes out is that excessive energy there, 4.5, 5, 6K area. And again, this will be very much dependent on what music you like to listen to, what tips you put on there. You can help attenuate that. In terms of technicalities, personally, I didn't find it to be technicalities that match an IEM of this price. That's my personal opinion. The soundstage, I found it closed in. I didn't find the sound expansive. Thus, imaging, although you can differentiate things and so on and so forth, is sometimes a little bit smeared, in my opinion. And detailed retrieval as well is not the best for the price. Okay, although out of those three technicalities, I would probably say detailed retrieval is the better one. That's my opinion. Yeah, and that is in a nutshell the Eternal. A good implementation, I think, or a good attempt to implement a big, large driver, which is not something commonly seen, for the exception of Sony. And it's been, I believe, well done, but there is room for improvement. I truly believe that 7 Hertz can improve on this formula and improve on it on a big way, definitely. As compared to what I have here, well, the Wizard, we know that the Wizard, well, like I said in my review of the Wizard, I'm sure there will be people that enjoy it, but the fact that it has this huge mid-bass accentuation just closes the sound off in terms of mids and vocals, and you don't find you find the male vocals to be over excessively warm. You find the female vocals to be sometimes as well excessively warm, although in certain cases that extra warmness is welcomed, but tonally then it just it just is not correct. It can be fun, it can be engaging, it can be a fun IM to listen to with certain music, but overall I was expecting a little bit more from Wizard, to be honest with you. I was, especially because of all the technology that they've implemented, and they've really done their work. It's a good quality DLC driver. The formula and well, let's put it this way: the ingredients are here. The formula needs some tweaking. As compared to the Eternal, I believe the Eternal is a superior IEM. The technicalities of them are basically on par, but then the tonality of the Eternal is superior because everything is more balanced out. And as long as that area there, like I mentioned before, doesn't really, of the upper mids, doesn't really affect you, overall the tonality of the Eternal is superior. It is a better IEM than the Wizard. Okay, we could discuss construction, and so everything is very much on par, very much on par. As compared to the Timeless, well, there's so much that has been said about the Timeless. I'm going to try and just keep it nice and concise. Fantastic IEM, in my opinion. Harmonish kind of a sound signature. This would probably be like a V-ish type signature. So a harmonish type signature, clean textured bass, absolutely amazing. I found that it does really well with power if you give it good quality power, and I used my TK2 for most of my testing because I'm really enjoying this TK2. My first one unfortunately died a week after I got it, but this replacement unit is magical. Honestly, I really recommend you guys, if you have the opportunity to actually listen to it and try it out, to do so, because you will not regret it. It's a fantastic DAC amp, really good, and it matches so well with some, well, this is always the case. There's a kind of marriage between IEMs and the sources, which sometimes is more successful here, less successful there, but the TK2 marries so well with these IEMs here that I have, that I can say with confidence that it was a fair usage of it across the board. on to the as you know, continuing with the timeless, amazing. With you know, the mids are smooth, easy to listen to, and then what really gets you and what really like surprises you is how huge the sound is, the sound stage. Technically, I think it's a very good IM, well within what its price is, and like I said, capable of conveying this sense of size as its main um, kind of feature that grabs you straight away. Detailed retrieval, amazing. Um, I would say, and that these two are more side grades to each other. You want a more detailed sound. You want a sound which is more opened, full of sparklies and so on and so forth. Timeless. You like your sound a little bit more closed in, a little bit darker. Um, Eternal. Um, Timbre and tonality, personally, although the Eternal is good, I found the timbre and tonality of the Timeless to be superior. So I found the technicality side of that to be superior. Timbre, it just sounds more correct there. Over here, and I think that fact that the timbre and the tonality sometimes is not correct. I think it's down to the driver not being able to be quick enough sometimes. Okay, so side grades as compared to, let's sure, the S12. I basically repeat what I just said about the timeless. Fantastic IM. The bass on here is tremendous. um, Especially if you like EQing and you start playing around a little bit, like for example Michael Bruce did. Wow, like wow, this is bass head stuff here. But if we're talking standard IEMs as they come from factory. Fantastic IEM, and due to its price, I would take the Let's Sure over the Eternal any day. The price the S12 has is its biggest calling card, and at $140, $150, it's a no-brainer, honestly. If you want a good playing piano that does everything well, and S12, no doubt. Finally, the Moondrop, the Kato. Again, it's basically, well, some people say it's a KXXS. I don't know because I never listened to it. I personally consider it, like I said, like an upgraded Aria, and the reality is I love it. I like it. I really do. And the biggest thing that catches your attention when you're listening to the Moondrop as opposed to the Eternal, again, is how clean and sparkly it is up top. The bass texture on here is superior. It's a quicker driver, and you notice it. It's not as sluggish. So quicker, nicer bass on here, definitely as deep as the Eternal, with equal mid bass quality and quantity. Mids on here, flawless, no crazy peaks, no nothing. And then it's got that extra detail up top past 8, 9, 10K, which just makes it a very nice listening IM, honestly. For me personally, it's a superior IM than the Eternal. So where does, at least in this company, where does it place itself? In terms of overall sound, the clear winners for me in terms of overall sound are the Moondrop Kato, the Timeless, and the Eternal. The S12. So the S12, Timeless, and Moondrop Kato are the overall winners in terms of sound. For me and my musical taste and what I listen to, I think that they are the ones that fulfill my requirements the best. In terms of price, the winner here outright is the S12, period. In terms of a more darkish sounding IEM, if that is your flavor, this is the choice. Better than the Wizard, more coherent than the Wizard. So I would say if I'm going to place these as first place, because they're all very, very similar, this would be our second place, and this would be the third choice, the Wizard. Again, please take into consideration, this is my opinion based on what I listen to, and obviously it could change. I mean, different ear, different people, different musical tastes, different ear anatomies, all of that will dictate a completely different experience with an IEM. Having said all of that, I do feel there's room for improvement with the Eternal, and I really hope they do come out with an improved Eternal. It's a worthy first try with such a big driver, the same way as what they did with the Timeless, and I think it's definitely something that they should consider, and maybe in a few months come out with an improved version. It will definitely the basic, like I said earlier about the Wizard, there's good hardware here. The formula just needs some adjusting. The hardware here is also good. It just needs a little bit more of fine tuning to really make it fantastic. All right. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed my little take here on the Eternal. And yeah, see you soon again. Take care. Bye bye.